Hello everybody, MP with small field drafts, back with a not small field draft. Today, Underdog just released their brand new contest, the weekly winners, and I wanted to hop into my very first weekly winners draft. I read Hayden Wink's article about the 10 strategy for weekly winners. I listened to a bit of content. I'm not a huge DFS player, but because of the fact that I've started up this best ball channel, doing a lot of Underdog drafts this year more than ever, I wanted to hop in, especially on day one, and I figured, why not do a stream? Now, it might not be a small field draft, might not be what we're used to, but let's have some fun with it and see if we can't come away with a chance at sweating out every week. That's all that really matters. I really like the idea of watch. I'm going to be watching the games anyway. I'm going to be watching all my fantasy teams anyway, and giving me a reason to look at my best ball drafts. I can't turn that down. So we're sitting here at the 6th spot, and we're going to be looking for, I think, some serious wide receiver, hammering wide receiver as much as possible in the first round. Travis Kelce is going at 102. That's a big strategy that people are going to be trying out. Getting in on day one, obviously, people are going to be trying a lot of new things. I don't think if I was at the 2 spot that I would take Kelce there. We'll have to see what people do at quarterback in this draft. Again, day one just released a few hours ago. Stuff is going to be pretty wild, I think, in this draft. So I have a lot of fun. I also have the full 2023 NFL schedule pulled up here, and we also have the list of bye weeks. And this is, again, all on Underdog. This is the Hayden Wink's article that just came out about how to attack this game. What are some basic strategies that we can use? So our first choice that we have here is going to be, I think, do we take Christian McCaffrey? Do we take our running back here? From what I've been listening to, from what I've been thinking, late round 0 running back is probably one of the best things we can do. And what instead we should be doing is drafting as many top wide receivers as possible as we can get in the first couple of rounds, and we want to get as many stacks as possible. So we have 2 really good options here, AJ Brown and Stephon Diggs. Who do we want to bet on more this year between Philly and Buffalo? Let's see if we can find Buffalo, Jets, Vegas. Do they play against Philly in week 12? Yeah, they sure do. I think we're just going to go AJ Brown here. I'm going to be betting on the Eagles. Probably going to be getting Jalen Hurts, who I think is going to be the #1 quarterback in points per game this year, falling to us. Let's take a look at where did this go. Now that we've got Philadelphia. Okay, let's try and attack some matchups throughout the season. Obviously, they're going to play the NFC East twice this year. It looks like the New York Giants are in week 18, which is not a part of this contest, so we can rule out drafting too many Giants. But Commanders, we can definitely get. Some of those guys go late. Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin. Who else? Okay, New England, Minnesota. That might be one worth attacking there. Tampa Bay, there might be some guys late, some 0 running back targets. Maybe if we pull a trigger on a guy like Rashad White, Kate Otten, if we're going to wait and get some weight on tight end and attack 3 or 4 tight ends in the later rounds of the draft. Okay, Washington is week 4 and Washington is week 8. We want to check and make sure our bye weeks. I do believe Philadelphia is week 10. Week 8, there's nobody else on bye. Okay. Week 4, there's nobody else on bye. So that's interesting. We probably want to consider, let's see, Dallas. Dallas is week 9. When do they play Dallas again? Oh, where are you, Dallas? Okay, week 14. So 9 and 14. Week 9, we have 4 teams on bye. And week 14, we have a couple teams on bye. So that might be one to attack. We want to be looking at Dallas possibly in pairing up. We know Dak is going to be coming off the board later. Anybody who's not elite, from what the Underdog guys, Hayden and Josh, were talking about, was a lot of the onesie positions who are being drafted in practically every Best Ball Mania is not going to be drafted as much in this weekly winners format, because so many of the middle, wide receiver 4 or 5s for a team that you're stacking up. Quez Watkins will definitely be looking at attacking some of those other deep receivers on Philly. Boston Scott is a guy we want to be looking at. Let's see. Let's just throw them in the queue. Let's see. Kenny Gainwell. Want to get him in there. Boston Scott. Make sure we got him in the queue. All right, our next pick is coming up here. Tony Pollard is available for our Dallas stacks. Now, the only thing is Jalen Hurts is going to be coming off the board here. His ADP is 22. Probably not going to fall to us. Maybe we can just say Tony Pollard. A lot of running backs been going in the early rounds here. I don't think we want to play catch up. Devontae Smith. Man, this is going to be tough. Do we want to gamble on not taking Jalen Hurts and instead grabbing Devontae Smith? If we grab Devontae Smith, what are the chances that the guys behind us or in front of us are not going to take Jalen Hurts because we're just taking that? Philadelphia, let's just take him. Let's take Devontae Smith and see what we can do. No quarterback's been drafted yet. Travis Kelce drafter or Jamar Chase drafter, they each have a chance to go for Patrick Mahomes here. Okay, Tony Pollard, obviously, that would have been... So there's a lot of correlation for Philadelphia and Dallas at the top of the draft here. Anything else? Who else is Philadelphia playing? Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Washington, the Rams, the Jets, the Dolphins, Commanders, of course. Got a game against the Chiefs. That's a nice one there. Could do... Okay, Seattle, San Francisco. All right, that's an interesting one as well. San Francisco... If we draft some San Francisco 49ers, obviously they have a lot of players that are going in the later half of the draft. Lamar Jackson as the QB2 off the board. Pair up with Mark Andrews there. That's interesting. What I was thinking about San Francisco is we could possibly think about taking some more Washington players because they have that game in week 17 against the 49ers. We got one pick until us. If we can get Jalen Hurts here, we are going to be in a good way. Who did this guy just take? He's got Kupp and Olave. Nobody quarterbacks that he's looking at. Who's on the board? T. Higgins. Who did he just draft? Calvin Ridley. Wow, very interesting. Okay, perfect. We got Jalen Hurts to fall to us. So we scooped up 3 Eagles in the first 3 rounds. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith. So we are balls to the walls on the Philadelphia Eagles this year. I like that a lot. We want to keep in mind, let me jot these things down, the things that I want to make sure I remember. Dallas, want to consider Washington, of course. We don't want New York because they only play once. I mean, we don't want to focus in on New York. We're not going to shy away from any Giants. Washington. San Francisco is interesting because we know we have some correlation with Washington and San Francisco. Let's see, does Dallas have any correlations? Now, Dallas, if we draft some Dallas, of course, we know we're going to be getting good with Washington as well. Unfortunately, okay, so Dallas and Washington play in week 18, so that game won't count as well. So New York, they play twice. Philly, they play twice in this contest. Do they play? Okay, I'm also seeing New England, San Francisco. So Dallas is playing San Francisco as well. New England, the Jets. All right, so obviously the divisions are going to be playing similar. So they're going to be playing, what's that? The NFC West, the AFC East with New England and the Jets and Miami. So, okay, so we want to be targeting NFC West, AFC East. Okay, and obviously NFC East as well. Anything else there? Los Angeles Chargers, that's an interesting one. And we know that Philly is playing Kansas City as well, so we might want to target some AFC West teams. Now, Los Angeles Chargers plays Kansas City week 18, so that game won't count, unfortunately, but they do play once more, and that has a good chance of being a high-scoring affair. Okay, Deebo Samuel, we're putting in our queue because of that San Francisco game. Obviously, Terry McLaurin, I think we should prioritize Washington right here. We don't want to think about running back here at all, pretty much. Green Bay, Seattle, definitely not quarterback. Tight end, I don't think we can do. George Kittle, we'll put him in the queue, just see what happens there. Brandon Ayuk. All right, let's get these guys down in the queue, make sure nothing crazy happens. Green Bay, Minnesota. The Eagles play Minnesota as well, so we want to keep our eyes on TJ Hawkinson. All right, we're up in 1 pick here. I think it's pretty clear we should be taking Terry McLaurin. a part of Washington. Okay, so another thing is that this is probably going to be a pretty common draft. This isn't going to be too unique, I don't think. Now, we did get some good ADP value on Jalen Hurts. This ADP is probably going to take a little while to set up. The quarterback market is going to be a little crazy. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is going to be primed to go where AJ Brown is here, so he's probably going to fall around this position. So this is probably going to get duped quite a lot, this starting lineup here. And so on a given week, right, where you need the Eagles, let's say, because they're the ones that blow up, you're still competing against, I think it's like 20,000 other drafts in order to claim that number one prize on a given week. So we still need to differentiate a little bit, but we did get good value on ADP. I don't know what this ADP is going to shake out to be over the coming days and weeks as this contest fills out. Other than that, all right, let's go back. We got a couple picks until our next choice. We got Washington as well. Let's take a look at Washington. AFC West, obviously, Arizona. That's going to be a very bad defense. Okay, Arizona against Dallas, Washington against Dallas. That's week 17, right? Rams, San Francisco. Okay, I'm definitely looking at San Francisco. The Giants. Giants are a team we can target because they go late. Rams are a team we can target. They go late. Buffalo. Washington against Buffalo. Philadelphia plays against Buffalo. Yes, in week 12. All right. We're also correlating our bye weeks, right? Week 10. We're pretty much thinking week 10. So anybody that we see who has week 10, we can consider that to be a tiebreaker for us as well. All right. We are on the clock. We have Godwin. We have Marquise Brown. J.K. Dobbins, Carolina, Seattle. Seattle does play against the NFC East, so we can think about that. Who do we like the most here? Marquise Brown, perhaps, or Jackson Smith and Jigba. Week 10, any week 10s in here? Nothing. We got Jackson Smith and Jigba at pick 54. Let's just double check, making sure NFC West, right? So we have Washington against Seattle in week 10. Ooh. That one's not so good because of the fact that week 10 we wanted to correlate negatively. All right, that was probably a mistake. Let's check out Dallas against Seattle in week 13. All right, so we can think about that one as well. A little unfortunate that Washington and Seattle play week 10, the same week that Philadelphia is on bye. Okay, got to make note of that as well. So do we want to keep stacking up Seattle? Let's take a look at Seattle now, what their schedule is looking like. We can also, okay, again, so definitely Dallas. We want to underline Dallas. Rams, more that. Obviously, they're playing the NFC West twice. Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Okay, so they're playing the AFC North. Carolina. So they got Rams as well. All right. Minnesota, we can be looking at here. Marquise Brown with Arizona. Arizona, week 1 in Washington. They played. All right, so they start off with the NFC East in the first 3 weeks of the year. And then when are they going to be playing Philly? Okay, damn it. Arizona plays against Seattle week 18. That one doesn't count either. Week 17, Arizona against Philly. All right. Keep that on the board. Tampa Bay. Let's look at Tampa Bay's schedule here. Okay, Minnesota. We like that. Philadelphia in week 3. Detroit, Atlanta, Buffalo. We want to be remembering Buffalo. San Francisco, Buffalo, San Francisco. Where were we? Tampa Bay. Okay, we're one pick away. Carolina, Green Bay, Jacksonville, New Orleans. All right, Buffalo, San Francisco. Or we doubled down on Seattle. That's unfortunate. We probably don't want to do that just because of the fact that we got screwed with that week 10 thing. Arizona plays for sure. Philly week 17. So we're not really targeting specific week of the year yet. Where is my man Jahan Dotson? He's down here a little bit. Can see him coming around to us. All right, let's take Marquise Brown, getting some more of the NFC West. Don't hate that. And in terms of the running back value, let's take a look at the big board here and see what's happening in the draft. Looks like definitely wide receiver heavy. Some of these running backs after that running back 14 with Jahmyr Gibbs, there's been a big break. Everybody seems to want to be getting in on them. Okay, starting me picking up the elite tight ends are starting to go here in round 5 and 6, and also some more of these kind of quote unquote dead zone running back profiles and Najee Harris and Aaron Jones. Okay, that is fine. All right, we're coming up again on our picks here. Don't think we need any of these running backs. We can look at Swift, we can look at Akers, but we don't want to miss out on Jahan Dotson. Hopefully he doesn't get taken from us here. Also Dallas Goedert in the queue as well. What do we want to do about tight end? Tight end is the most replaceable later on in the draft. Miles Sanders. Okay, so we have a choice to make here between Jahan Dotson and Dallas Goedert. I think just because of the fact that we can get a lot of starting tight ends in the later end of the draft. Dallas Goedert, he's... I'm just going to take Jahan Dotson here. We don't want to get distracted. Not too many detours out from wide receiver. All right. Now, quickly. Here we go. All right. Now we got... How's our bye weeks looking? Couple in week 14. Okay, between Arizona, Washington, we have week 14, and Philadelphia week 10. All right, so week 14, we want to also target our buys on week 14 and week 10. Now, Washington. Let's take a look at Washington's schedule again. Arizona in week 1. Denver, Buffalo, okay. San Francisco, don't want to forget too much about them. How are we looking down in the queue? All right, we're getting to the point in the draft where none of the wide receivers are looking all that tasty. Miami and Indianapolis. How are we thinking about Tua Tagovailoa or Dak Prescott? Okay, Dak Prescott, let's get him in the queue. Want to maybe be looking at some running backs here. DeAndre Swift, of course, that might not be bad. Rashad White, James Conner. Let's get these guys up here. What's the ADPs there? Okay, I think we got to go, if it happens to fall to us this way, Dallas Goedert first, then DeAndre Swift. I don't love, but in this format, of course, we're just going hard on Philly. I want to make sure we don't get boxed out in Dallas. Where is Brandon Cooks? I guess he must have went not too long ago. We had a choice. We could have taken Brandon Cooks in Dallas there, but that's okay. Philly still plays Washington twice. And that is, what week is that? Washington, they play week 8 and week 4. So what other games can we target in week 8 and week 4? Dallas Goedert just went in front of us, unfortunately. Okay, week 4, Arizona versus San Francisco. We've got Arizona. Let's look for San Francisco. We want to underline San Francisco there. Atlanta, Detroit, Baltimore, and Indianapolis. That's interesting. We're looking at week 3. Week 4, Arizona, San Francisco, Atlanta, Jacksonville, Baltimore, Cleveland, Miami, Buffalo. Okay, if we think about Buffalo, we can think about Miami. Denver, Chicago, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Cleveland, New England, Dallas. Okay, there's one we should target as well. New England and Dallas. We really want to stack up in week 4 there. We want to target that. We're on the clock. On the clock. What do we got? We got Rashad White near the top of the queue. James Conner, I think probably is the one we're going to be looking at here. We don't have any Tampa Bay at the moment. We want to double down on the Arizona that we do have. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anybody else. Antonio Gibson at this point in the draft. We can maybe wait on him and see if he makes it back to us. Let's take James Conner as our RB1. That doesn't make you clench a little bit, but that's what we're here for in the weekly winners. Okay, back to week 4. I want to be thinking about week 4. Remember, New England and Dallas, San Francisco, another team we want to be targeting. New England, Dallas, and San Francisco. Let's just go through and start to pick off. All right, Brian Robinson, Rashad Penny, yes, of course. Buffalo and Miami, we don't hate that. All right, Elijah Mitchell, there's a guy that we want to think about. Wide receiver. New England with Juju, that's a little sketchy. He is injured, and his ADP doesn't seem to have fallen too much. We can wait on him. I don't love him. Michael Gallup is a guy we want to be targeting. Rondale Moore, of course, we want to be targeting. Carolina. The Rams, of course, because they play in the NFC West. Minnesota, Marcus, Tyquan Thornton. Okay, a little too deep now there. Tight end, anything. Cleveland, Buffalo, Houston, Denver, Rams. Okay, nothing too much that I'm seeing down here. Mike Gesicki. Dallas, of course. Jake Ferguson, that's a guy in the later rounds who we're going to be targeting very heavily. Now, the question is, not many quarterbacks in this part of the draft going. We have one more pick until we are up. We're Dak's at ADP. Is there anybody else? Brian Robinson, Rashad Penny. We don't have any Dallas yet, so we don't have to press it with Dak. Obviously, getting naked Dak doesn't feel great. Brian Robinson a little bit above ADP. Okay, and Anthony Richard just went, so Dak is the only quarterback. There's the first quarterback left on the board. Where's CeeDee Lamb here? He's probably not going to make it back to us, although he does have Justin Fields. He might just stay away. That's interesting, but what do we really need? We can probably get some quarterback value later on. I think we have to go with Bijan Robinson, continuing our Washington stack here. Now we have Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Brian Robinson. If we can get Dak Prescott to come back to us in the next round, we will be taking him there. Obviously, we have Rashad Penny in the queue as well, but we don't want to forget about Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell. All right, but if we have the choice between Rashad Penny and Elijah Mitchell, I do think we need to start going for some of those San Francisco guys because it does pair quite nicely with the rest of the draft. Again, bye weeks, what are we looking at? Week 14 and week 10. Week 14 and week 10. Okay. Again, we're looking at week 4 here. We made it down. All right, Detroit, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Houston, the Rams, and Indy. We can think about that one because we're going to be targeting some NFC West. So we can think about Indianapolis later on, maybe Alec Pierce, Las Vegas, and the Chargers. Okay, the Chargers might not be an interesting one. They play against the NFC East. And Las Vegas, they got a couple of guys that go late. Buffalo, Carolina, Dallas, New England. That's one we want to target as well if we can. Seattle and the New York Giants. We have Seattle, so we can get some New York Giants. We know that there's wide receivers that are going late in the draft. Juju Smith-Schuster. Ooh, Jared Goff just went off the board. Russell Wilson. So people hate Dak. This is the CeeDee Lamb drafter here who's on the clock. Let's see if Dak Prescott goes off the board. I don't know that we have to have him, but if we want to look at that week 4, really press our advantage in week 4. And when else was the other Washington-Philadelphia game? It was week 9, was it? Show me Philly. Washington. Where are you? Not even looking on the right one. Okay, week 8. So let's look at week 8. Arizona, Baltimore. Tennessee, Atlanta. Tampa Bay, Buffalo. Houston, Carolina. Chargers, Bears. San Francisco, Cincinnati. Seattle, Cleveland. Okay, so we have some Seattle. Could go against Cleveland. Rams, Dallas, perfect. We can get more Dallas, that'd be great. Kansas City, Denver, Las Vegas, Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay, Carolina, Houston. We're on the clock. Holy crap, a whole run of quarterbacks just went off the board. And would you believe it, Dak Prescott is still sitting there. What pick are we at? Pick 115. We're getting some value on Dak. We are going to take him. All right. We are good at quarterback, and we're not drafting any more quarterbacks. So we have Dallas. We want to make sure we're stacking up Dallas. What's their bye week? Week 7. I don't think there's anything that we have to worry about there. We do have this lone Jackson Smith and Jigba sitting here on our team. We have to think about something there. All right. So now Dallas, we want to also make sure we're prioritizing New England for that week 4 correlation. San Francisco as well. All right, let's again just take a scroll down. Michael Gallup. Make sure we're getting him up high. Rondale Moore. Rams, of course, we were thinking of New England as well. Tyquan Thornton. All right, Rashad Penny just went. Houston, Denver, Mingo. Okay, Higbee will get in there. And Jefferson, we've got... We can think about that Indianapolis. Matthew Stafford, if he falls kind of late. Jerome Ford and Cleveland. There was some Cleveland correlation, wasn't there? So we might be clicking on some Cleveland. I know that the Chargers were in there. Kyler Murray might be interesting again if we're going really late, digging in. Curtis Samuel, of course. 5 picks until we're up. All right, and then, yep, the New York Giants. We want to make sure Isaiah Hodgins, who's the one I like the most. Mike Gesicki. Okay, the tight ends. We didn't draft any tight ends. We can wait on tight ends late. All right, let's get back up to the top of the draft here. Although David Njoku, never mind, is just sitting there. Daniel Jones is sitting there as well. He's a quarterback who I like, although we're definitely not going to take him. All right, what do we have at the top of the board? Nothing much. Don't love anything that's here. We have Michael Gallup. I think we just have to take him because we need that partnership, even though we might be reaching on him a little bit. And there is some value. Obviously, Daniel Jones, the Giants are playing in the NFC East. We don't need a third quarterback. Do we need an 8th wide receiver? Yeah, I think so. We need to get Dak stacked up. Okay, make sure. All right, we've got to go back. Going back to our schedule here, New England. We need to target New England for Dallas in week 4. We have some Arizona. We need to target San Francisco as well. Where is Seattle? Who are they playing in week 4? The New York Giants. Would you look at that? Okay, so we definitely want to be targeting them. Okay, Philly and Washington. That's our main stack. Dallas, New England, Las Vegas, Jets. Okay, and then week 8. Week 8, back to week 8. Seattle against Cleveland. So we want to be thinking about Cleveland. Who is Dallas playing? The Rams. So we want to be looking at the Rams. Tyler Higbee. Cleveland. So like Jerome Ford, we need we need to think about running backs, right? We're 0 running back. Rams in New England. Jamal Williams, Jalen Warren, maybe just guys we want to think about grabbing. Kendre Miller, just running backs who we like, because at this point in the draft, we only have 2. We definitely need more. So just putting some guys in the queue here. Raheem Mostert, Deontay Foreman. Okay, so... Oh, and Ezekiel Elliott might be perfect. Odds-on favorite for landing back in Dallas. We got Pierre Strong in the later round. So, okay, we don't have to go crazy. There's a lot of guys to choose from that we could pick in this range. Still want to make sure we're getting some correlation. We don't have any San Francisco quite yet. What's this point in the draft looking? A lot of quarterbacks going. We probably could have pushed it on Dak and seen if we could have gotten Elijah Mitchell. Because of the fact we already have Jalen Hurts as our elite QB. We weren't hurting for quarterback there, but we did want to make sure we got some of that Dallas instead of Elijah Mitchell. That's okay. We can think about Jordan Mason, putting him in the queue later on. This is 18 rounds, yes? Yeah, it's still 18 rounds. Okay. That's perfectly fine. All right, pick 139. We're coming up in just 2 picks here. There's nobody that's jumping off the board at me. Kendre Miller, just because we need some running back help. Van Jefferson went off the board. So we can think about Tyler Higbee here at 139. That's at ADP here. In the 12th round. Again, tight end is the position we can most push until the end of the draft. Atlanta. Okay. Kendre Miller at pick 142. I think he probably fits our 0 running back profile here. Week 11 bye. Let's check out New Orleans. We just need a running back to come through with us. New Orleans. They play Tennessee, Carolina, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, New England. Okay. In week 5. Think about some week 5 correlation. Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit. What was their week 8? Indianapolis. All right. There was some interesting Indianapolis correlation in week 4. What was that? Against the Rams. Okay. All right. In week 8, who is Dallas playing in week 8? That's the Rams. So if you get Rams and Indianapolis, might be some interesting stuff that we can do there. 7 picks away. All right. Again, let's run through the queue here. Running back. There's still quite a few running backs that we can get behind. Taysom Hill as a later on tight end, of course. Love that. Pairing up with our New Orleans stack there. Miami, we don't want to forget about Kenneth Gainwell coming up in a certain point. We have 3 running backs. Probably want to get at least 6. Ezekiel Elliott is a guy we're definitely targeting. All right, at the top of the queue, I think we should probably have Tyler Higbee there. We know we need some Rams. We have the correlation with the NFC West. Tight end, I'm not feeling bad at all. We're getting a bit of value on him. We definitely need some New England. We don't want to miss out on Tyquan Thornton, of all people. But even if we don't get him, we already have a bunch of wide receivers. We'll be missing out on a little bit of that correlation, but that's not so bad. Man, this is tough. Doing it on stream, I hope we got something here. Okay, just double checking. We're probably going to be taking Tyler Higbee here as our first tight end. The Rams have... All right, yep. Tyler Higbee. So we got the Los Angeles Rams. We're playing against the Indianapolis Colts in week 4. So if we can get some Indy, and then in week 8, they're playing against Dallas. We did get Michael Gallup. We're going to be targeting Zeke. We're going to be targeting Jake Ferguson. All right, we want to make sure Kenneth Gainwell, we have him up on the board. Jerome Ford is a guy we want to show some love to. All right, we missed out on Tyquan Thornton. Oh, well. That is too bad. We know we can get some New England correlation late with the tight ends in Gesicki and Hunter Henry. Kyler Murray in the back half of the draft. Well, that's another thing we want to think about. What's the archetype of our players? James Conner, Brian Robinson, Kendre Miller. So we have an old bust guy in James Conner, but there's nobody behind him there's no rookies behind him that we're thinking, okay, he's going to get drafted up at the end of the year and he's going to usurp James Conner's role. Obviously, injury is a risk, but it's a risk we're going to have to take. Kendre Miller is a guy who might turn on in the back half of the year. Brian Robinson, who knows what Washington's deal is going to be if Ron Rivera gets fired halfway through the year and all of a sudden Eric Bieniemy takes over. They might, I don't know if that means they're going to use Brian Robinson more or less, if he's going to be running more. They're just going to run more run plays. 14, 14, 14, 10, and 10. We got good week 10 correlation on the Rams there for our bye week. So any Rams that we see, we want to shoot our shot on the Rams. Except for Matthew Stafford, we don't need another quarterback, especially when we have so many other needs. Okay, Curtis Samuel. Brock Purdy, just because I see San Francisco, but we can't draft him. We've spent too much capital at quarterback already as it is. All right, we're up in one pick. We're at 163 here. Jerome Ford in Cleveland because of that. What is it? What do we need Cleveland for? Cleveland's got some correlation against Seattle in week 8. That's not terrible, actually. So we can put Jerome Ford at the top of our queue there. Donovan Peoples-Jones, another Cleveland receiver. I don't think there's too many other options in Cleveland that we want to be looking at down here. I mean, David Bell maybe in the last round. Curtis Samuel just got drafted. Nobody else is jumping out at me. I think we're taking Jerome Ford here for some good week 8 blow up potential. All right, I like that. Got some good 0 running back targets. I think we can get rid of Deontay Foreman. We definitely don't need him. Let's get rid of these quarterbacks that are sitting here. Looks like they're getting pushed down the draft board as it is. Not many being taken in these 13th, 14th rounds. I think as we get to the 16th, 17th, 18th, 16th, 17th, 18th round, you're going to see a slew of quarterbacks come off the board. All right, Mike Gesicki just went, so we still need to get some New England correlation. Definitely want New England for that Dallas comeback on week 4. Paris Campbell, make sure we're getting Giants in there. Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson. We should have a good shot at getting one of them. Sam Howell. Not feeling great about our Dak pick there because there is some good correlation that's coming up on us at the end of the draft here. Indianapolis, we have Josh Downs, who I do like because he's just been pushed down the board. I mean, he's a 3rd round rookie, and we're kind of, if we're betting on this Indianapolis spike week, it's going to be early in the season, so it might be hard for Josh Downs to carve out a role for himself early on like that. Leonard Fournette, no. Darius Slayton, okay, yes. Mac Jones, whatever, put him at the end of the queue, see what happens. All right, now we're really pushing. Trey McBride, of course. You can go with our Arizona and our tight ends at the end of the draft. Anybody else? Greg Dortch. Just put him in the queue. Tutu, we can put him in the queue. I don't think that's terrible. Seattle, we do have some Seattle. Hunter Henry, okay. Definitely want to like him. Devontae Parker, the $14 million man that they just signed. I don't think that means much of anything, but we need some New England on this team, and in a bad way. Ronald Jones, no. I think we want to make our bet on Zeke Elliott as long as he is still there. Okay, Zeke Elliott, I think, is at the top of the queue, and we are on the clock. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. Okay, we don't need Isaiah Hodgins because there's so many other of the Giants wide receivers that we can be looking at. Anybody else here in the queue? Pierre Strong is another guy. Okay, nope. I think we just take Zeke here. Whatever. Pick or 2 before ADP. It's perfectly fine with me, getting our good Dallas correlation. All right, Dallas, New England. We got to get that New England. So Pierre Strong. What round are we showing up in? That was 15. We got 3 more picks. 3 more picks, and we have 5 running backs, 7 wide receivers, and 1 tight end. Okay, so no quarterbacks at all. Getting rid of all the quarterbacks on the board. We can say maybe we're not a totally 0 running back because of the fact that we got James Conner, so we might be able to cut ourselves off here. And if we're betting on Ezekiel Elliott signing back in Dallas, that's going to be really big. He's going to probably boost up a lot in ADP. We can probably say we're done at running back. All right, so I'm a little now skeptical of us drafting. We shouldn't have drafted Kendre Miller there. We should have just waited. I know there was... Who did we miss out on instead? Somebody else was sitting there. Alec Pierce with some Indianapolis. Jonathan Mingo. I mean, there wasn't anybody that we're really kicking ourselves that we missed out on. And... All right, Jake Ferguson. I think we want to make sure we're targeting him. Trey McBride. Arizona. We haven't gotten any San Francisco, so that's not helping us in week 4. Baltimore in week 8. Those are kind of our big matchups that we're targeting. We get New England. That'll be in week 1 also to pair with our Philadelphia. So what else is happening in week 1 with Arizona? Arizona, Washington. Okay. So New England, we definitely need New England because that helps us in week 1 as well. Cleveland at Cincinnati, so we can think about Cincinnati. New York Giants at Dallas. All right, so we need New York Giants. We need a New York Giants receiver. We need a Dallas tight end. And we need a New England tight end. I think that's our plan. Isaiah Hodgins went off the board. This is the period that's just the 3 New York Giants wide receivers are sitting there all in a group. I think we take... Do we take our shot here? We take our shot here and then hope that we get Jake Ferguson coming back to us. Hunter Henry. Yeah, I think we got to go with a New York Giant wide receiver here. Paris Campbell's the one that's getting all the buzz right now. Wan'Dale Robinson's injured. Jalen Hyatt's a rookie. Yeah, I think it's Paris Campbell because we're looking for these spike weeks early on in the season. Okay, so we got our New York Giant, one of them. We want to make sure we got Jake Ferguson and Hunter Henry. Now, if both those guys are not available there, if we miss out on Jake Ferguson, we have to get Hunter Henry, and then Dallas. There's not really another Dallas. Actually, we can go with a guy like, not Schoonmaker, again, because we kind of want to be targeting that front half of the season. But Peyton Hendershot, if we miss out on Jake Ferguson, could have some viability for us just because we need some more Dallas correlation, and he is not a rookie. And everybody's banking on the fact that Jake Ferguson's the guy, but Peyton Hendershot did play a bit last year. He scored a couple touchdowns. He can be the guy as well. So that gives us a little bit of insurance. Now, the only other question is, do we have enough running back depth with our 5 running backs here? I mean, if you can say, obviously James Conner is the guy, so he's like our anchor, quote unquote. Brian Robinson is the starter. Zeke Elliott, he's going to be the short yardage specialist, and hopefully he can cash in on like 10 touchdowns, same thing that he did last year. I think we're good. We made our bed, right? We're going for Jake Ferguson. Now, if we get Jake Ferguson, we can also consider toying with Pierre Strong. Because if he ends up being the number 2 running back in New England, is that more valuable than being the number 2 tight end for Mac Jones in the New England offense? We got Bill O'Brien as our offensive coordinator. I don't remember Houston, when he was coach in Houston, ever being huge on tight ends. Did they ever have any big tight end seasons? He just came from Alabama. I don't watch college football at all. All right, we're in the 17th round. We've got 2 picks left. And we pretty much have to do it. We got Darius Slayton there too. I think we have to take Jake Ferguson. All right, let's come back here. We're debating between New England. We've been saying New England all day, because they have that correlation with Dallas in week 4. Yep. With Philadelphia in week 1. We don't have any other New England at the moment. Just double checking. That Seattle pick was not good. That Jackson Smith and Jigba was not a good pick. Anything else with our bye weeks, like week 14, week 10? No, nothing there. I think we need to take another tight end. These 2, I don't know that they're going to be able to get it done. Although, if we say that Jake Ferguson, he's like the starter, he's going to be the starting tight end in Dallas all year, especially at the beginning of the year while they wait for their rookie to come up to speed. Tyler Higbee, again, a guy in Dallas, the guy in Los Angeles, they have nobody else. We could say we have 2 starting tight ends, we get them at a good discount, and instead go for Pierre Strong. We need that New England. Who's more likely to score a touchdown for New England? Pierre Strong or Hunter Henry. If we're thinking about maybe the gain scripts that could take place, Philadelphia week 1 against New England. Obviously, we're expecting Philadelphia to come out just storming. Who does Washington play? They play Arizona. That's perfect. We have some Arizona. Cleveland, Cincinnati, we don't have any of that. Dallas and New York, we have some of that. So, if instead, who are the Giants? What are the Giants doing? New York, New York, New York. Week 4 against Seattle, as opposed to New England's playing Tampa Bay. So actually, we could go with Darius Slayton here. We could say to hell with New England, and instead take Darius Slayton as our wide receiver 9. Okay, I'm closing my eyes and saying we got 2 starting tight ends, and we're drafting Darius Slayton. Wow, that was some draft. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Please tell me, was that terrible? What can I do to be better? Flying by the seat of my pants here, but I think we did okay, all things considered. Don't love the fact that we felt pressured and had to take Dak. That's just the thing about Dak in every draft that you do in best ball this year. You never feel good about taking him if you don't have CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, or Tony Pollard. Our running back room, we're banking on the fact that Ezekiel Elliott is going to sign in Dallas. We got our guy in Michael Gallup. We got Jake Ferguson. So we came around and backdoored it for the Dallas correlation. The Rams. We didn't get any other Rams. So we didn't necessarily have to push on Dak. We could have waited on Dak and instead went for a guy like Matthew Stafford. That would have really contributed to correlating all of our bye weeks in week 10. That might have been the play instead. Skipping out on Dak, and that pick in the, 10th round? Where did Matthew Stafford end up going? In the 15th round. So if instead of Dak, we got Rashad Penny, we got Damian Harris, we got Elijah Mitchell, there was some running backs that we probably could have used. That's something to think about, because we didn't end up with any New England, which I am disappointed in. We were saying that from the beginning. We wanted to make sure we got some New England. We maybe got that value back that we lost in Jackson Smith and Jigba by taking some of those New York Giants that they played together in week 4. But we did sink some of that value by wasting a top 5 round pick when a guy that's going to be on bye or has a big matchup and when Philadelphia is on bye. So unfortunately, we didn't get everything perfect. There was definitely some things we could have done better, but I don't hate the draft that we got. We're definitely wide receiver heavy with 9. We have a 2-5-9-2 build. I'm terrified of our running backs. I'm terrified of our tight ends, but this is not a cumulative scoring. We're not trying to make it to the playoffs. We're not trying to be the number 1 scorer throughout the season. We want to hit on our weeks, and I think we have a couple shots in week 1, in week 4, and in week 8. There might even be some more correlation that I didn't see. I'm going to have to study this schedule grid more, but I don't know if I'm not going to say that was fun. I did have fun, but that was a little stressful. That was a little chaotic. I don't know that I even got any words out of my mouth, but that is what it is. MP from Small Field Drafts here. If you like this kind of stuff, we're usually doing 3-person drafts, 4-person drafts. But today we tried to mix it up, have a little fun with the first day of the weekly winners, the brand new contest from Underdog. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks.